Yes, Made by Google 2025 finally happened. We've seriously been waiting for this event pretty much since the moment it finished last year. It's crazy how many leaks and rumors we've covered over the last 11 months, and yet, while a lot of the things we discussed were true, there were a few pleasant surprises and one particular change that was not. Sort of. I'm sure for most of you it'll be just fine, but for some of us, we're just having a little Superman moment.
Why did you move the door?
I'm Jaime Rivera, and let's go through my 5 hits and misses of the Pixel 10 series along with everything else that we just saw on the latest Made by Google event. So, for the usual bit of context, this was filmed 5 days before the event, and while Google is not really known for last-minute surprises, I'm not going to say it's not a possibility. If there is one more thing at the end of the event, just bear with me and I'll cover whatever I learn about it in the next tech briefing. I think the Pixel Buds 2a are a very interesting value proposition. In the past, A-series buds were as affordable and stripped down as the A-series phones, meaning the sound was there, but you couldn't ask for much more with the $99 price point. These Buds 2a are actually so close to the Buds Pro 2 that I almost wonder why buy those instead of these if they are a crazy $100 cheaper at $129. They bring the same Tensor A1 chip, meaning they now grow up to provide active noise cancellation for up to 7 hours, which alone is too good, but then they also provide the same AI support with Gemini. This also means features like a pretty natural transparency mode, stereo spatial audio, redesigned acoustics with an 11mm dynamic speaker driver, all protected by IP54 dust and water resistance on the buds and IPX4 water resistance on the case. I also think these might be the first and only earbuds where you can change the battery of the case for better longevity over time. They come in 2 colors, iris and hazel, which, yes, is confusing as they look more black than anything. I call these a definite hit considering all you're getting at such an affordable price point. I'm curious to know if you like these in the comments. I think the best way to describe the Pixel Watch 4 is as fantastic. Surely it looks a lot like before, but trust me, it's not. This is the first of its kind Actua 360 display, which is physically curved on both the inside and out, delivering 10% larger active area on 16% less bezels, and which is 50% brighter now at 3000 nits. It is gorgeous in every way, truly elevating the minimalism we've praised from this design. Materials include recycled aluminum, custom 3D Gorilla Glass 5, and new repairability updates let you replace the screen or the battery as it ages. And speaking of that, Google also finally addressed endurance with a 25% improvement, meaning 30 hours on the 41mm variant and 40 hours on the 45mm variant. And the new quick charge dock allows 25% faster charging, meaning you can get up to 50% in just 15 minutes. For all this to be possible, under the hood we have a brand new Snapdragon W5 Gen 2 matched with an updated ML-powered coprocessor that's 25% faster at half the power consumption. This new chip also allows the LTE variant to be the first ever smartwatch with satellite communications for emergencies when you're off the grid. Then there's the fact that Fitbit is now growing up with a new personal health coach feature built on Gemini that I'm hoping is not behind the paywall because there are a ton of great enhancements here. Obviously, Gemini is built in along with Google's new Material 3 expressive design. Specs include new Bluetooth 6, Wi-Fi 7, IP68, 5ATM, finally the dual-band GPS I've been asking for. And about the only thing I'd change for its $349 starting price tag is the base 32 gigs of storage at a time when most competitors have jumped to 64. But listen, to me it still is a definite hit. I'm curious to know if you like everything you see in the comments. I think the Google Pixel 10 is almost everything that any phone should be at its $800 price point. Yes, the 4 new colors are gorgeous, with indigo being my favorite for sure, and I love that they've kept the matte rails and glossy back in the design language. But then the bigger story goes beyond that. For example, I don't know of any phone at this price point that offers Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front and back. Sure, the Galaxy S25 has 3 cameras at this price, but they're not like this. We're talking of a 48 megapixel primary with macro focus, 13 megapixel ultra wide, and 10 megapixel periscopic zoom telephoto at 5x, which can go up to 20x in super res zoom through AI. And this is before I get into all the other AI features Google is known for. The rumored magic cues are here, and other tidbits that I'll let you know more about in my full review. 6.3-inch Actua display at 2000 nits standard, 3000 nits at peak, though yeah, not LTPO, which is expected. New Tensor G5 with 3nm TSMC architecture, 12 gigs of RAM, IP68, a massive 4970 mAh battery, and yes, with a new magnetic pixel snap feature that enables 15-watt wireless charging and support for a bevy of new accessories that can work with or without a case, which I love. So, what's the catch? Well, 128 gigs of storage is expected at this price point, so there's not much to complain about here. Really, my personal problem is the death of the SIM tray in these US models. I will tell you Google Fi on eSIM is pretty good, but it's not the same case for all the other carriers when you want to easily switch your phone. Regardless, to me that's the only miss. I do think this phone is more of a hit than anything with so many features for the money. Now I'm curious to know if you agree with that in the comments. When it comes to the new Pixel 10 Pro and 10 Pro XL, let's just say I'm both impressed and a bit mixed, making it both a hit and a miss, but depending on which model you prefer. Yes, a lot of things are the same as last year. I mean, it even looks the same, but that's actually what I praised most, as I really love the uniqueness of this design language. That said, same 6.3-inch or 6.8-inch Super Actua LTPO display, though now slightly brighter at 2200 nits standard, 3300 at peak. Same glossy aluminum body with a matte back, but now you get Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on both the front and back. Maybe the bigger story is how Google managed to fit larger batteries at 4870 and 5200 mAh, all while also adding the Pixel Snap magnets. But then here's the first difference based on size, as the smaller Pro is not entirely the same. Only the Pro XL supports Qi 2.2 wireless charging at 25 watts, while the smaller variant only does Qi 2 at 15 watts. Wired charging differences are also 30 watts on the Pro, 45 watts on the Pro XL, but then flipping the narrative, all three flat pixel models are rated for the exact same 30 plus hours of battery life, meaning you're oddly not getting more endurance if you go for the larger Pro XL, which is kind of weird. That said, other features that I'm looking forward to are the amount of AI improvements demoed, which include the magic cues for a smarter way to use your phone and stuff I'll cover more in my full review. Other specs to praise are the 3nm Tensor G5 built by TSMC, finally 16 gigs of RAM on both models, but then another difference is that only the Pro XL starts at 256 gigs of storage. If you're like most people I know and want the smaller footprint, you're stuck at 128, though both devices now go up to 1 terabyte. In their defense though, the cameras are all the same and they're massive. 50 megapixel primary with macro focus and a larger sensor size, 48 megapixel ultra wide, and a 48 megapixel periscopic telephoto that goes from 5x optical to a crazy 100x ProRes zoom enhanced by AI. And listen, I'm hoping they do a better job than Samsung here for sure. And then other benefits are the return of the 42 megapixel ultra-wide selfie at 103 degrees of field of view. But then the other catch is that even the pros ditched the physical SIM card for eSIM. Overall, to be fair, I love these 4 new color options, and I do think that these phones finally level up to compete at their price points of $999 and $1199. But then I'm curious to know if you like what you see in the comments. Maybe my favorite product overall from this Made by Google event was the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. Like, listen, I know it's not out to break any thinness records, but it's out to break others. First of all, this is a completely new gearless hinge that ensures the phone can fold and open for up to 10 years and enabling IP68 dust and water resistance for the first time in a foldable. The outside is protected by aluminum and Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front and back in 2 colors, Moonstone and Jade, and then the inside has an ultra-thin glass that has been upgraded with 2 layers of anti-impact film for added drop protection. Also, it looks like last year, but the outer screen is larger at 6.4 inches diagonal, enabling an even larger inner screen at 8 inches, all thanks to much-needed reductions in the bezels. Both screens are Actua at 2000 nits, standard 3000 nits at peak, but only the inner screen has variable LTPO, even if both reach 120 Hz. The expected Magic Q AI features are also here, but with some added experiences to take advantage of the foldable form factor, which I'll cover later in my full review. Internally, we have the new Tensor G5, built on TSMC's 3nm architecture, 16 gigs of RAM, and storage that goes from 256 to up to 1 terabyte. Endurance is also rated like the other Pixels at 30 plus hours, with a 5015 mAh power pack, but then another pleasant surprise is that somehow they managed to fit the Qi 2 magnets in here for Pixel Snap functionality of up to 15-watt wireless and 30-watt wired charging. Seriously, if I have to pick between thin and small battery over large battery and magnets, give me the Pixel 10 Pro Fold any day. And then cameras also saw an upgrade with a 48 megapixel primary, a 10.5 megapixel ultra wide with macro focus, and a 10.8 megapixel periscopic telephoto that goes from 5x to 20x super res zoom. Sadly though, even if this phone is called a Pro, the 10 megapixel cover and inner cameras don't include the ultra wide functionality. But then, best of all, if you want a physical SIM tray, this is your phone, even if yes, you can also get eSIM functionality just like the others. Overall, at $17.99, it's really hard to argue with this value package. I genuinely think Google has a major hit here, but I'm curious to know if you like it as well in the comments. To conclude, can I just say that this is probably the least mixed that I've felt about a Made by Google event. Finally, a set of Pixel phones that don't skimp out on specs, especially on the base Pixel 10. We have a Pixel Watch 4 that's no longer a step behind any of its competitors. We have a pair of Pixel Buds that offer a hard-to-beat value proposition. We have a Pixel 10 Pro Fold that grows in durability and features without getting more expensive. And then we finally have a set of Pro models with far more aggressive camera features and a better starting storage, at least from the Pro XL. In my opinion, this was a dramatic hit of an event, in which I'm seriously hoping was powerful enough for Pixels to finally achieve that limelight that they've deserved for years. Pre-orders begin today on all models, but availability for the Pixel 10, 10 Pro, and 10 Pro XL starts on August 28th, and then the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, Pixel Watch 4, and Pixel Buds 2a have to wait until October 9th for whatever reason. I should be getting review units soon, most likely staggered as well, so expect in-depth coverage for all of these devices around those dates as well. Let me know if you agree with my assessment in the comments down below, and while you're at it, a like and subscribe would be really appreciated. Also follow me on social media, as that also supports everything that I'm doing, but also be sure to follow my brother from another mother, Joshua Vergara, who helped me out a ton with all these hands-on experiences. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.